Hi, thanks for joining me. This is lesson number 6. I am Greg Granger. Um, today we're going to, today's lesson is going to be Introduction to Rudiments. Okay, we won't get really detailed as to how to do them in this lesson, but I want to introduce drummers to the different types of rudiments. But before we get started, as usual, let's read the disclaimer, okay? I should, you think I would know this by heart, but I don't want to mess anything up, so I'm going to read it. If you are under 18, tell your parents you're doing this session. Feel free to ask questions and make comments, but stay safe online by just using your first name. Don't give out your contact details, and I hope you enjoy today's session. Now, please make comments. It's for me, it's important for everybody, for all of the instructors. Make comments. Let us know what you're getting. Let us know what it is that you want us to show you. Feedback, and that way we will definitely reply. I will definitely reply, and I will try to tailor what it is that I'm showing you based off of the comments. So, what is a rudiment? As it relates to drums. Anybody? Anybody? Put that in a comment, and I'll check it out. All right, and it doesn't have to be specific, but just whatever you think it is. So I have my idea, or the way that I explain what a rudiment is to people, but my students. But I'm going to read you what I found online. It says, in percussion music, a rudiment is one of a number of relatively small patterns which form the foundation for more extended and complex drum patterns. A number of relatively small patterns which form the foundation for more extended and complex drum patterns. That's actually not a bad definition for a rudiment. You know, I like to say that, well, I'll give you an example of a couple. All right. Right? Okay, so those were a couple of rudiments. Um, and when I'm explaining what a rudiment is, I say if you play piano, or we'll use piano, you practice your scales. You know, your C major scale, whatever, your minor scales, and those you use those to, number one, to get your fingers going. You know, C D E F G A B C, and then you come back down to loosen up your fingers and to get your fingers used to playing that pattern. And then you practice your scales in different keys. And then you practice major scales, and you'll practice minor scales, and you'll practice pentatonic scales, and you'll practice in different modes, mixolydian. That's not my lesson, but the point is, these are scales or different patterns that you'll practice, but they will help you to play your instrument. You'll be able to apply them when you play. When you solo or when you're reading, you have a better understanding of what it is that you're doing. So for a drummer, I say the rudiment is the same thing, right? It's going to help you with your hands, or as we say, with your chops. It's going to help you when you're playing different beats. There are actually some rudiments that are strictly like military. based. And if you are really into a pretty straightforward military marching band, then you really have to be up on your rudiments. Okay, so this is just going to be an introduction to them. My coming up, there was this book, and my notes are over here. So unfortunately, I'm going to have to zoom in on some of this stuff later, but I think I have a better understanding of how to do it. So these are some rudiments. I'll see if I can hold this still. I'm believing you can see this. Hold on, I'll do this. Okay, now some of the rudiments on this page I am going to go over, like the paradiddle, and then there are the flams. There's a double paradiddle, right? Cool. And let me turn to this other page. Hold on, hold on. All right. Cool. Come back here. All right. I just hold it still. And you might see some things that say Rudiment or drag or flam accent. Yeah? Okay. Cool. So, 13 Rudiments of the National Rudimental Drummers Association. This is a very old book, but you can still get it. It's the NARD book, National Association of Rudimental Drummers. There are certain books that I think if you play drums, you should have. This is one of them. There are a lot of other ones out there that deal with rudiments, but this is a good one. Yeah, as you can see, I used this a lot when I was learning. So, some of the basic rudiments, I think there are like 13, or according to this book, basic ones, it says the standard 26 American drum rudiments. And there are other rudiments. There are Swiss rudiments, and people have taken the basic rudiments and added certain things onto them. They're really good for your hands. But I'm not going to talk too much right now. But I want to show you one of my favorite ones. And that is the paradiddle. Okay? So, a paradiddle, every drummer knows a paradiddle. What is a paradiddle? Can you send me a comment as to the sticking for a paradiddle? I'm going to show you. A paradiddle looks and sounds like this. Okay? The sticking for a paradiddle, and like I said, I won't get too deep into that today because I just want to introduce you to the rudiments. The sticking is right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Now you can start on your left, right, left, left, right, left, right, right. But that's the sticking for a paradiddle. And then there are double paradiddles. Triple paradiddle, or okay? So those are three favorite ones that I like to use all the time, and I'm going to teach those to you the next lesson. There's a rudiment called the flam, all right? The flam looks and sounds like this. You hear it? It's not, hear that? That's a single stroke. That's a single stroke. The flam is. Cool. I'll slow it down for you. All right, you see? That's called a flam. Then there's something called the flam tap. Because you have your flam, and then you have the tap. there's something called the flam accent. There are alternate stickings for the flam accent, but we're going to stick with the rudimental version, or the one that's in this NARD book, National Association for Rudimental Drummers. So we looked at the paradiddle. I showed you that. I showed you the double paradiddle and the triple paradiddle, right? And then what was the next one I believe I showed you? Was it the flam? I think it was. Then the flam tap and the flam accent. All right. Now, we're going to pause there because we should still play. And you notice I moved my tom here because I wanted you to have a better sight of the actual snare drum here in my sticking. So we're going to play because playing is good. This is a drum rhythm intro thing, and it just wouldn't be right if we didn't play something. And let's play something in 4/4 is always good to start with. All right. So I think I want to do 1, 2, 3, 4. So I'm going to do 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. I want you to play that with me. You know what's going on. Eighth notes on the hi-hat, right? 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Here we go. Let's play it. 1, 2, ready, 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Stop. 2, 3, 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. 1, 2 and 3 and 4. Stop. Okay, you count. One more time. And off. Good job. That's just a beat came up with. The next break might be in a different, it will be in a different time signature. Cool. All right. So when you are practicing, when you practice your rudiments, you need to pay attention to the sticking. If you have a snare drum or a practice pad you can put on top of the snare drum, or I mean, for these rudiments, it would be great if you had sticks and a practice pad. But if not, if you are just using your hands like that, you can still do strokes and flams and paradiddles. And even if I turn that sound down, you would still just hear me hitting the actual pad. So you can still practice without the drums. But use a mirror. Look at yourself in a mirror. Look at your hands in a mirror and pay attention to how high they come up, whether they're even when they come up, or do you start off in a V? I was taught that you go for the center of the drum and you make a V. Now, again, I'm using match grip, but you can also use traditional grip. I learned with traditional, but I'm using match grip right now, okay? Either one is fine. If you don't have sticks, then you're using match hand grip. That's a good one, yeah? All right. So, find the center of the drum, form this V, and you want to practice just aiming for the center of that drum when you play. Okay? Right there. Now, the other thing you want to practice is, if you notice that when my stroke stops, they're in the same, pretty much in the same height. Like I don't stop it, and like one's not here and then the other one's here, and I don't do that. You want to practice on looking. It needs to look good. The cool thing about playing rudiments, and I'm not getting technical with you, but the cool thing about playing rudiments, and if they are, you got a line of snare drummers, or even if it's just two of you, if you're playing the same thing and you both start here and you hit it and you come down and you do it together, it looks good. Get someone to get your mom or your dad or your brother and your sister and say, here, just do this with me. Just put my hand here. Follow my hand. Do that. Or tell them to start here and go and come back up. Do that together. It looks good. That's what makes a marching band look so smooth when they're marching and they're doing the rudiments. It's just the whole Scottish thing. Woo! They have some killer rudiments as well. Okay, so I was taught that there are downstrokes. You're starting with your hands up like this. Downstrokes because the stick is going down, making the stroke. Right? Now, for the purpose of this, I'm coming back up. That's my downstroke. Then I was also taught that there is something called an upstroke. So you're starting lower to the surface, the drum, the table, the pot. You're hitting, and then you're coming up. So you're still going down. I mean, technically, you can't come back up without and hit the drum without making sounds, without going down a little bit. But if I stop here, right? Right? That's the upstroke. Downstroke, upstroke. Downstroke, upstroke. Practice with me. Down, let the stick stay down, up. Down, let the stick stay down, up. Down, 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 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, up, 2, 3, 4, down, 2, 3, 4, and up, 2, 3, 4. Okay? All right, cool. Downstrokes and upstrokes. A lot of paradiddles, a lot of rudiments, a lot of flams, you have to get a good feel for the upstroke and the downstroke of the stick, right? So what you're seeing right now is like 3 cups of coffee. I shouldn't have had them first with this before this lesson, but oh well. For instance, the paradiddle, right, left, right, left, right, left, left. Now, I'm starting with my sticks down close to the drum first. Right, left, right, right. Left, right, left, left. That's allowing me to make that accent on that first beat when I come up hard like that. We'll work on this more next lesson. Right, left, right, right, left, right, left, left. Whereas the flam will start with an upstroke first. So it will start with this hand because it's closer to the drum. And then this hand will come down. That's very slow. Okay, do it with me. This is like supersonic slow motion. If your hand is close to the drum first for your upstroke, because it has to be, then you want to put those together as fast as you can. I'm going to speed it up. Start slow and speed it up, okay? Okay? You see how that works? That's what makes the flam a flam. flam accent, the same thing. Slow it down. I'll teach you the sticking to these next lesson. But you got your upstroke and you have your downstroke. All right? Okay. So let's play something in 3. What do you want to play? 1, 2, 3. I guess I'm thinking 3 because of the flam accent that we just did. That could be counted in 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. All I did was take that same sticking and move it over to the drums. Don't want to show you that yet. All right? So let's play something in 3. Let's play... So it'd be 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Okay, this is in 3/4 time. The 3 tells you how many beats are in the measure. The 4 tells you that the quarter note is equal to the beat or 1 beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Let's put the bass drum on 1. 1, 1, 1. Easy spot. Easy spot. Okay, you ready? Let's do this beat. 1, 2, 3, 1, ready, play. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2. Count. Okay. Follow me. 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2, 3. 1, 2, 3. 1, 2, 3, 1, and 2. You do it. And stop. Good job, okay? Fantastic. All right, so we talked about paradiddles, double paradiddle, single paradiddle, triple paradiddle. We talked about the flam. We talked about the flam tap. We talked about the flam accent. We talked about upstrokes and downstrokes. Or starting with the stick down first, right? That's the upstroke. That's the downstroke. Upstroke, downstroke. Upstroke, downstroke. If you're practicing with your hand, downstroke, upstroke. See if I can hit this better. Downstroke, upstroke, downstroke. Now again, you still have to go down to come up, but it's about the look, right? Downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke, downstroke, upstroke. Do your flam with your hands. This is open, but if it's tight, it should sound like that. Upstroke first. You got it. Okay, so what's the next thing on my little note sheet thing over here? So, rolls are also part of rudiments. Now, when I say rolls, I don't mean like bread rolls or sticky bun rolls. No, I'm talking about double strokes. Double strokes put together. A double stroke, that's a double stroke. 2 strokes with the same hand is called a double stroke. Let's go back to this guy. Okay, that's 2 strokes with the same hand. 1, 2, 1, 2. Now, these are single strokes because it's 1 stroke with each hand. Those are rolls as well. Those are called single stroke rolls. Most of the time, drummers do those faster in the drum set. Right? Or you can do double stroke. But a double stroke, 2 strokes, single stroke, 1 stroke each hand. Single stroke, double stroke. Okay, 2 strokes. So we're going to talk about the rolls that, again, a single stroke is a rudiment. But we're going to talk about, and a double stroke roll is a rudiment as well. Just long. Goes on forever. Okay, that's kind of open. That's a little bit tighter. But I want to do these open so that you can see the strokes. But you have different numbers. You have different rolls. You have a 5-stroke roll. That's a specific rudiment. You have a 7-stroke roll. You have a 9-stroke roll, and on and on. You can have a 13-stroke roll. You can even have an even number roll. But I'm going to talk about the basic ones. And the basic ones, when I was learning, were 5-stroke, 7-stroke, and 9-stroke. Right? So, if you count the strokes, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Or, starting with my left hand this time, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. That's a 5-stroke roll. Put it together. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'm going to alternate this time, starting with my right hand. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. Make it faster and make it a little closer together. 5. Okay? Cool. So, let's do a 9-stroke roll together. Nope. Let's do a 7-stroke roll together first. All right? Let's start with our left hand. We'll do it slow. Maybe 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Double stroke. Here we go. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Left hand again. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Right hand this time. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Okay? 7-stroke roll. Cool? All right. So, and then the same thing for the 9 strokes. 1, 2, 3, 4. And I'll show you another technique for so you won't have to count them. I'll show you a little shortcut so that you can figure out what type of roll you're doing. Now, in drum music, in the rudimental drum music that's in that book, and certain the stuff with the rudiments are very specific, very important. They actually will notate the type of roll that you're supposed to use, whether it's a 5-stroke, whether it's a 7-stroke, whether it's a 9-stroke. And remember I told you that rolls can be used for half notes or whole notes. And sometimes rolls are just on a quarter note, right? Or leading into an 8th note, right? 1, 2, 3, 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. 1 and 2 and 3 and 4. stuff. So that's how that works in. So trying to memorize what we went over, because I'm not looking at a list, because you don't, unless you wrote this down, which you should have. Paradiddles, single, double, triple, right? We did the flam. We did the flam tap. We did the flam accent. We talked about upstrokes. We talked about downstrokes. And we're talking about single stroke rolls. We talked about that. We talked about double stroke rolls. We talked about the 5-stroke roll, the 7-stroke roll, and the 9-stroke roll. These are, again, just different rudiments that I practice on a lot, and I use them on my drum set. There are a lot of them. There are 13 or 26 basic ones that you should understand. If you have a good handle of these, then you're already ahead of the game. So now there's something called the ruff, which is 2 double bounces, really quick, and then a single stroke. Alternate. Right? Okay. So now, to really get a good handle on these rudiments, I guess we should go into that next week in more detail, but you want to find the area of your stick. It's kind of like in the middle, which will allow the stick to just bounce when you hit the drum once, right? Whether it's traditional grip, just hit it once and let it bounce out like that. Or if you're doing match grip for both, just hit it once and let it bounce out. Now, once you get used to doing that, let it bounce twice and pick it up. It's a good exercise to practice. See if you can pick it up on 3. Just let it bounce. Okay? All right. That will help you get used to getting a feel for the double strokes. Cool? And the ruffs, which are really quick, 2 bounces and a single stroke. That's not a flam. The flam is just the upstroke and then a downstroke. The ruff is, but it's fast. And to get those 2 doubles quick out of there, you need to have the stick close to the drum for your quick upstrokes. Just a bounce. Then it comes up. All right, we'll go into more detail as far as the sticking and how to practice those, but write those down. Those rudiments will be the ones that we will really dive into in our next lesson next week. I'll teach you ways to remember the difference between the single paradiddle and the double paradiddle and the triple paradiddle. We'll practice those with single accents, and we'll practice those with double accents, like triple paradiddle. Like for instance, here we go. Paradiddle, 1 accent. Double paradiddle with 1 accent, but a double paradiddle with 2 accents. We'll practice that kind of stuff. I'll show you that, and we'll really get into downstrokes and upstrokes and different techniques to work on, and I won't drink as much coffee next time. Let's play. What time signature would you like to play in? 6/8. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Right? 6 means what? Exactly. 6 beats in the measure. The 8 means what? That's the 8th note is equal to the beat or 1 beat. That number is called a what? The 6 and the line in the 8 is called a what? A time signature. There you go. And in drum music, is it in the treble clef, which is where the high stuff would be, or is it in the bass clef? Or can it be in both or none? That's right. Drum music, sometimes it's written, it'll be treble clef. You'll see it's written, it'll be bass clef. Sometimes there'll be no clefs. All right? Refresher course. Go over that, right? Whole note, half note, quarter note, 8th note, 16th note, 32nd note, 64th note, right? Now, that's what I've seen. Actually, 32nd is about as fast as I've ever seen in music. And then you have triplets in between there, but that's down the line as well in our coming up lessons. But go over those stuff. Go over those things. Just refresh your memory with the lessons 1 through 5. So let's play something in 6/8. I'm making these beats up. Once I lock into it, then I'll have you do it with me, okay? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. If you notice the snare, I'm keeping it simple. I'm putting the snare on 4. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3. I put the bass drum on 1, 2, 4, 5, 6. 1 and 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. Play it with me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3. Now you count. Uh-huh. 2, 4, 6. Uh-huh. Yep. 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2 and 3, 4, 5, 6. Now, I'm sure that some of you have noticed, wow, well, you can also count that 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. Right? Music is math. Half of 6 is what? 3. Okay? So there are times when you hear something and you hear a song and you'll say, okay, that can be in 3 or it can be in 6. What I do, and this isn't really the rudimental thing, this will be part of my showing you different ways to listen to music and pick out what the drum beat should be or what drum beat you should play. What I normally do is listen to the whole phrase. If I hear a phrase that sounds like this, okay, in my mind I'm going, okay, that sounds more like 3 because it's just 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. It could be 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. But chances are that's 3 because the phrasing stops or it starts over again. The loop starts right here. 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3, 1, 2, 3. That's what I listen for. If I hear see the loop, where the loop start. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and 1, 2, 3, 4. So that's what I listen for. You really don't know until you actually see the music, but at least it gives you a reference point. And then when you hear the melody, that will help you too. Okay, but let's get back to rudiments. All right. Now, we will also see how you can apply certain rudiments. You can apply all of them to the drum set. But let's say if I wanted to take the paradiddle, I could do that. I could break it up there. We'll get into this next Thursday. I could do the double paradiddle. And a lot of times in 6/8 music, I tell my students, I say, if you know how to play a double paradiddle, then you can already play a beat in 6/8 that's kind of cool sounding, right? 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Double paradiddle. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Okay, we'll get more into that next week as well. So, what rudiments did we go over? See if I can do this with my memory. Do it with me. We did paradiddles. We did single. We did double. We did triple. Very good. We did flams. We did flam taps. We did flam accents. We went to rolls. We did a single stroke roll, and then we did double stroke roll. And then we did 5-stroke roll, 7-stroke roll, 9-stroke roll. Okay, write this stuff down because this is what we're going to go over and going to really tighten up next week. Yeah, and then I think the last thing was a what? The ruff. That's right. With a really quick double, like bounce, and the single stroke after that. 5-stroke roll. Right? Flams. Flam tap. Flam accent. Right? Single stroke roll. Double stroke. That's right, 5-stroke. Just checking. Okay. And then what? Paradiddles. Double. Triple. Okay, very good. All right, so let's play ourselves out of here. Let's play in, let's just play something real simple in an odd meter time. Let's play something in 7. We've never done that, but it's real easy. 7/8. 7 beats on the measure. 8th note is equal to 1 beat. Okay, so it'll be, I'm going to make this up. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 4, 5, 6, 7. on me. 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2. I slow it down. 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Now, keeping it simple, if we're in 7/8, and this note is getting the beat, these are eighth notes. Okay? Cool. Great job. See you guys next Thursday. See you at what time? 4 p.m. UK time. Carvecast Studio is the place you want to go when you want to learn how to play anything. Carvecast Studio is the place you want to go when you want to learn how to play anything. You know I wasn't going to forget that. We got to do that. That's what we do. All right. Stay safe. See you next week. See you Thursday, 4 p.m. UK time.